Chapter 12 of Angel Food Time, Little Talks to Little Folks by Rev. Gerald T. Brennan. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Maria Therese. Chapter 12. A Surprise for a King. A king, you know, receives many gifts, and very often these presents are worth hundreds of dollars. It may be a gift of money, diamonds, jewels, or precious stones. Then, too, a king may receive a very small gift. Well, one day King Louis received a small gift, a gift that didn't cost very much money, but that small gift meant more to the king than diamonds, silver, or gold. King Louis was a very friendly king, a king who loved his people. Best of all, King Louis loved little children, and King Louis thought that the little children in his country were the best little children in the world. That's why the king built so many beautiful schools for his children. He built parks and playgrounds for his little friends. He had parties for the children, and every summer the king had a picnic to which he invited all the children of his country. The king's picnic was always a big day for little boys and girls. That was the day when boys and girls had plenty of free ice cream, cake, and pink lemonade. It was a day for races and games, the day when the children saw a real circus. That was the day when the children saw King Louis and even talked to him. The day when the children shook the king's hand. Now little Mary Hubner was just as excited as her other little friends. Mary thought that the day for the king's picnic would never come. But picnic day did come, and Mary had a wonderful time at the king's picnic. She ran races, played games, and even won a prize. The little girl laughed at the funny clowns in the circus and clapped hard when the bears danced. Of course, Mary ate plenty of ice cream and cake and drank 3 glasses of pink lemonade. Mary Hubner enjoyed every minute at the picnic, and the little girl certainly had lots of fun. When the picnic was over, all the children stood in line, and each child shook the king's hand. Of course, most of the children thanked the king for being so kind. Little Mary stood in line too, and she could hardly wait for her turn to shake the king's hand. After all, King Louis was a mighty important person to little Mary. No wonder Mary's little heart pounded inside her. No wonder Mary was nervous. At last it was Mary's turn to shake the king's hand. The little girl looked up at the king and smiled. And the king smiled back at the little girl. "Did you have a nice time at the picnic?" asked the king as he shook Mary's hand. "Oh, I had a grand time," answered the little girl. "And thank you very much." Then little Mary did something that certainly surprised the king. The little girl offered the king the only thing she had in this world. "Please take this," she begged. "I want you to have it." The king's eyes almost popped out of his head. He smiled, nodded his head, and took the present from the little girl. In a moment little Mary Hubner was gone, and King Louis stood admiring the present he had received from the child, an old, worn-out doll. King Louis received many presents during his life, but he kept only one of them on the desk where he did most of his work. Many times each day the king looked at that present and smiled. And many times each day the king thought about Mary Hubner, the little girl who loved her king so much that she gave him the only thing she had in this world, an old, worn-out doll. Children, Christ is your King, and Christ has done so much to show that He loves you. Christ came on this earth because He loves you. Christ suffered and died on the cross because He loves you. Christ lives in our church because He loves you. Christ even let you receive Him in Holy Communion. Why? Because He loves you and wants to be near you. Yes, Christ your King loves little children, all children. Christ your King loves you. Now, what about you? Do you love Christ your King? Oh, I know that you tell Christ that you love Him, but do you show your love? I don't mean that you have to give Christ an old worn-out doll. Christ doesn't need and doesn't want your old worn-out doll. But there is one present that you can give Christ, a present that will show Him that you really love Him. That present is a clean soul, a soul free from sin. How can you keep your soul free from sin? By obeying Christ's laws, by keeping the commandments. There are only 10 of them, you know, 10 commandments or 10 laws. Keep those 10 laws and you will have a clean soul. That's the way to show Christ that you love Him. That's the best present you can give Christ, your King. Little Mary Hubner showed King Louis that she loved him by giving him an old, worn out doll. Are you going to show Christ, your King, that you love Him by keeping your soul free from sin? I hope so. God bless you, and take good care of yourself. End of chapter 12.